I actually dealt with a lot of things that I would say had to do with my race when my son got his first diagnosis of autism. I felt that I had to please the people that I was seeking assistance from. I didn't want them to have these judgments of me that I felt that they already had. I wanted them to be able to respect me. So I was like, okay, what do I have to do to make sure that they see me how they would see any other person coming into this room right now, from any other race, any other gender. I want them to see me for me, and I want them to see my son for who he is. Everyone is different. No matter if they come from the same culture or not, they've experienced different things. I do not like to be grouped, and I felt oftentimes that I was grouped into the single black woman stereotype. Young mother, she doesn't know a whole lot, and so we can kind of steer her where we want her to go. That is noticeable to me, and it is noticeable to anyone else that is being treated that way.
We need to refrain ourselves from being judgmental towards the parents and towards the child. A lot of individuals with special healthcare needs may have a lot of behavioral issues, and it's so easy for us to label parents as being bad parents, as not knowing how to redirect their child's behavior. I went through this a lot, especially when Natalia didn't have a diagnosis. I was labeled as being a bad parent. And I think it's very important that we take our prejudice away as far as possible and try to understand the struggles that the family is facing and help them find strategies and learn techniques to redirect their child's behavior instead of jumping into conclusions.
I found a lot of the service providers thought that they knew what was best for me, or they knew what was best for my son, or he's acting this way because you're not doing this, or he's not doing this because you're not pushing him hard enough. Things like that, which was very insulting because, of course, I was going to be working on these things with my son. You know, I wanted him to be better. I wanted him to show progress, and this was something new for everybody, but I worked just as hard as my son was working, and I wanted other people to be able to see that.
Many of your patients may need assistance navigating through the array of services and resources available to them and their families.
Every time you're new to a new location, especially from one country to another, a lot of times families are not aware of what services are available. And they're also not aware of who are the healthcare providers that should be part of the team, the healthcare team that will be taking care of their child. I was not aware of all the services that were available for Natalia. I did not know what questions to ask. I did not know where to go. I had simple questions of how much my insurance is going to pay for all the services that are provided for her. Where should I go? With whom should I talk to? So having health professionals who were sensitive to my struggles, to my lack of knowledge of what it was available for Natalia was key to provide what she needed at that specific time of her life. So as health professionals, we should never miss the opportunity to ask the questions. If the parents are aware of these services, what are the difficulties they're having to navigate the system, and take that extra step to help them not only understand the system, but also navigate the system.
Cultural differences and experiences can influence how an individual and his or her family may perceive and respond to disability or treatment recommendations. Being aware of these differences is critical to communicating effectively with the family to maximize healthcare outcomes.
In the African American community, there is a huge stigma with being diagnosed with things, seeking help, any type of diagnosis. It's you'll be fine. You'll get through this. Keep your head up. And so initially when my son was given this diagnosis, I wasn't hesitant to get him the services he needed, but I was hesitant to let people know about his diagnosis.
We parents of individuals with special healthcare needs, we go through different stages. First, you feel guilty. You feel that you have a child with special needs because probably you did something wrong. You feel ashamed. You feel sorry for yourself, which is the worst, until the point that you come to realize that this is the very best thing that has been presented to you in your life. You may get a parent in a different stage, and you have to be loving and you have to be compassionate and you have to be understanding that parents are going to react differently to their child's special health care needs.
The role of the family in different cultures can vary. Family involvement comes in many forms and can be highly influenced by culture.
In some places where I would go, a lot of the times it would just be myself and my son. They eventually started asking, oh, okay, well, where's dad? And what does dad do? And is dad in the picture? Does dad in the household? Those were all things initially like, okay, these are some things that they probably need to know. And are me and dad being consistent in how we're working with them are in? But then I found that they would be like, oh, well, why is dad never here? Is this something that's really important to dad? Dad is in the household. Dad works 2 full-time jobs to make sure that we have what we need. He's very much involved with his children's life. And just because he's not here at these appointments with us does not make him any less involved than myself. Every family is set up differently. No matter how a family is set up, that shouldn't determine the level of respect that we receive from people.
When you are from a different culture, you have different relationships with your friends and your family, and you have a different support system. Family is very huge in a Latin country. We tend to be overprotective. We tend to be sometimes overbearing as well. And so I would not be surprised if, families from different cultures would listen more to their family members than actually to the professionals that take care of their children.
The language you use, whether verbal, facial, body, or otherwise, may be interpreted or understood differently by various cultures. Remember that patients want to feel heard and that language barriers may present additional communication challenges in your practice.
So in the language that providers would use in a way that made me feel less than or felt like they were maybe trying to stereotype me is they would take a long time trying to explain one thing to me as if I wasn't following or not understanding. When I would have a comeback and they'd be like, oh, okay, you do get this. You're understanding this. Is this making sense? Yes, I'm following 100%. Some of it was just making sure that I understood what they were saying because there was a lot of new information that I was being given. One time we were late to an appointment. We didn't miss it. We were late to the appointment, and typically I would call, but it was a crazy morning, and I felt very bashed almost when I got there about why were you late, and you could have called, and our other families would have called. But I didn't know how to speak on it without sounding rude or like the angry black woman. Another thing that I ran into a lot is how appearance plays a role. I have almost a full arm of tattoos. I have piercings. I express myself in various different ways. And so oftentimes I would have a phone conversation with someone and then go in to meet them and they'd kind of be like, I wasn't expecting this person to be walking through this door right now. And they weren't always 100% sure how to address me. I would notice like their eyes would travel to my head wraps a lot of the time and trying to figure out, okay, well, we thought she was black. So why is she wearing a head wrap? I would find people who would just ask the questions. It made me feel more comfortable about the situation instead of me feeling like, why do they keep staring at me? Why are they looking me up and down? Myself, and I would go ahead and say a lot of people of color, we notice those things very quickly. But also it's something that our children notice.